we are not alone.
These are supposed to be some of the most verified images of giants.
People who do meditation for 60 days will lengthen their telomeres.
Soon we'll get results, and we'll let you know right here on Beyond Belief. Things seem to be changing in the field of ufology.
It's going to be a bumpy ride.
That's priceless.
Isn't that amazing?
Tesla wanted free energy, and look what happened to him.
Plenty of evidence to show that they're real. The real question is how and why.
There were Egyptian hieroglyphs out in the outback of Australia.
In Australia. What are the possibilities? Mars was inhabited, and these were built. We almost can't duplicate today. These are amazing topics. What if there was something like at Area 51, deep underwater?
They were killed by some animal.
Believe me, we're just getting started. I'm George Norrie, and we here at Gaia are committed to revealing the truth. Up next, Coriel Kramer back with us, an animal communicator. She'll be talking about animal reincarnation, just an amazing subject, and she's next on Coast to Coast AM. And welcome back to Coast to Coast. We've got a couple fascinating hours for you. Coriel Kramer back with us, has been connecting and speaking with animals since she was a child. Just like humans, animals have distinct personality types. Coriel has identified 6 animal dynamics which have redefined and transformed the art of animal communication. Very passionate about showing people how to connect to their animals using her new method of dynamic techniques to take their relationships to an even deeper, more profound level. Coriel, welcome back. How are you?
Hey, George. I'm doing great. Thank you so much for having me back.
I was at the airport this weekend, and I saw so many people with dogs that they have as, you know, what do they call it?
Therapy?
Therapy dogs?
Therapy pets.
I mean,
Yeah.
they're wearing a special jacket and stuff like that. The dog is, that is. But it's amazing, the emotional support between the animals.
Yeah, they really do, they help so many people, you know, and especially with what's been going on, there's a lot more people, there's a lot more animals who are coming into play as therapy animals because, you know, we've been going through a lot of fear, a lot of emotional stuff going on, especially in the last few years, you know, with COVID and the lockdown and then, you know, reintroducing ourselves back into society. You know, there's a lot more therapy animals than there were before, but they're beneficial in incredible ways.
And I can understand, you know, I've had dogs all my life. Haven't had one for a few years because of my travel schedule, but I can understand how people fall in love with their pets.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, who can't, you know, who can't understand and get love from an animal? You know, I mean, if you're open to it.
It's unconditional,
you know?
Isn't it?
They're just so loving. They have this Christ-like, beautiful, unconditional love consciousness of just constantly giving us love, constantly giving us support if we're open to it.
Coriel, tell us a little bit more about you and your experience with animals.
So I've been connecting with animals pretty much all my life. You know, I've always been able to hear them. I've always been able to talk to them. And always get a sense for how they're feeling in their bodies because I'm also empathic. So, you know, I've been doing that all my life. I tell people I've been doing it unprofessionally since I was a kid, professionally for, you know, over 2 decades, you know, closer to, 25 years now. So, you know, it's just something that has always been available to me. And it's available to everybody, but it's really and truly about how tuned in you are. It's kind of like a muscle. The more you use your intuitive abilities, the more you use your psychic abilities, the stronger they become. And so I'm using them on a, moment-to-moment basis. So my connection to animals has always been very, very strong. I'm also connected to people, but animals are so open. They're so beautifully just this, wonderful, like, loving consciousness, that it's much easier for me to connect to them than it is for people sometimes, because, sometimes people, we get into our own heads, we get into our emotions and our worries and our concerns, and we get a lot of, like monkey mind. So the animals are much more open. They're much more freer to a certain extent.
You're too young, but I'm sure you may not remember the television show Mr. Ed.
Yeah. I've seen videos. Of Mr. Ed. Those videos, were like really, for me, they were really, groundbreaking. That show to me was extremely groundbreaking, because even though it kind of like, was a tongue-in-cheek, made fun of animal communication, kind of, sort of, it basically is the way that it is.
Yeah.
It is the way that it is for me anyway. It's like I hear them exactly like, for example, Mr. Ed. I hear their voice, and through their voice I also get their personalities, which is where the animal dynamics came from.
His owner was Wilbur, and he used to say, "Hello, Wilbur." Yeah. But it was great. Everybody loved it. I remember the theme song and everything else. I'm not gonna sing it for you, but I remember.
You can sing it. It'd be fun. No, but there was also the Shaggy DA. I remember the Shaggy DA. There was, there's spots of where there was.
Remember Lassie, Rin Tin Tin, and those classics? Now that's going way back for you.
I hear about Lassie, and I've heard about Rin Tin Tin. Never saw the shows, though.
But it was funny, though, how television went in streaks with animals as the star of a TV show.
Well, I think it was smart. Animals draw you in. You want to, whether you believe in animal communication or not, it just, to you, you're just, you see a dog, you see a cat, you see a horse, and you're like, oh, wait a minute, I want to see that show. Animals are a great way to just draw people in and get them, because it touches on the heart. Animals for a lot of people, immediately it's a heart thing. We just feel like this animal is just strong and powerful, or beautiful, or majestic, or just loving, and we want that in our lives. So they draw you in.
And there was a movie of a horse called Flicka, Flicka, I believe that's how it was spelled. Mm-hmm. And that horse was a superstar. I mean, it's
My Friend Flicka, wasn't it?
Yeah, that's it.
Okay.
That's it.
I don't know where that came from. It just came out of my head, but whatever. There's something about animals. They touch us on a very deep level. It's not even conscious. It's more subconscious. It's more just heart level. It's like I love that animal. I don't know that animal. It's not my animal, maybe, but they draw you in, and they give us this unconditional love and understanding that we just want to be near them, because they give us comfort. They give us love, and that's what we want in our lives more than anything, really.
Absolutely. Now, how did you get involved in animal reincarnation?
Interestingly enough, I really didn't know much about reincarnation. I really could put, probably about 20 years ago or more, I could put it in a thimble about how much I knew about reincarnation. I really did learn everything about this subject because I stayed neutral to my communications with animals, and they were telling me over and over again. The first animal that I ever got was actually, I know this is going to sound a little crazy, but the first animal that I ever really found out about reincarnation from was from a little dog. He was a Chihuahua. And I wasn't expecting anything. The person came to me. I was doing readings at a place in upstate New York, and the woman came to me and she says, I just want to connect to my beloved animal. And she gave me a picture. I connected to the animal. I had no idea what the heck I was going to get. And all of a sudden, I got that this animal, was reincarnating back to her, and also that the animal had reincarnated to her in a past life. And I started telling her what I was getting, and immediately the woman started crying. And she's like, I always felt that. I always knew that I knew this soul, this little soul. I it's not a conscious thought. It's not like, oh, my dog is reincarnating. It's a total emotional heart thing. And when I started talking to this Chihuahua, I started getting information from him about the life that he was leading in the past life and the life that he was going to be leading in this new life. And again, like I said, the woman started crying, and immediately I knew that I had something, because when I make people cry, that opens them up on a very emotional level. And she was like, I felt that he was coming back. I really did. I don't know how to explain it. So that's when I first started understanding what animals were doing and how they were coming back. And it became, in the beginning, very, very few. I would have maybe 2, maybe 3 animals tell me that they were reincarnating back to their people. And it became more and more and more as the years went on. And that's how I really first started getting into the subject of reincarnation with animals.
How soon does the reincarnation process occur? The animal dies on, let's say, a Monday. When's the reincarnation take effect?
What's fascinating to me is that it really depends on what's going on with the person and in their life. Now, there's no guarantee that your beloved animal is going to come back, okay? Some animals are, some animals aren't. It really and truly depends on what's going on in that person and that animal's soul plan or life plan. What's written on their soul. Is this animal coming back? Are you guys going to share more experiences together? But the thing of it is that it really depends on the person and what's going on with them. For example, I lost my heart animal in 2007. I lost my cat, PC. And what happened is that for years, she was telling me, no, I'm not coming back, no, I'm not coming back. And then stuff started happening in my life where I started to grow as a human being, expand as a human being, expand as an animal communicator. And then I started getting, information from her that she is coming back. And it's only that starting in this year that she's coming back. So there's really no guarantee that your beloved animal is coming back. But what's happening is that as people expand and grow in what I call the shift of consciousness that humanity is going through, as they're growing, as they're expanding as human beings and becoming better human beings, their animals want to experience what humanity is going through and what their person is going through, and they want to be a part of that. So a lot more animals are coming back to their person in this lifetime.
Interesting. Now, how does that person find the animal, or how does the animal find the person?
It's really a beautiful unfolding. There's no cookie cutter. There's no, you go here at this point of time and this is what's going to happen and you're going to find each other. Each one is a different kind of story, a different story for that person and for that animal. But the way they find each other, what I'm discovering is, because I do a lot of work with people where I'll do an animal communication session for them, and at first finding out if their animal is coming back. And then the second session I do is, finding out the specifics when it's closer in time to when I was getting when they're coming back. But what people have to understand is that this is kind of written in stone, so to speak. How your animals are coming back is a story that's unfolding in your life and in their life. So how people find each other how people and how animals find each other, it really depends on what's going on in that situation. Some people can find their animal in a Petco, Again, some people are gifted their animal by a friend. Some people are gifted their animal by, just happenstance, by finding them on, pet finders or in an animal rescue or in a shelter. It all really and truly depends on what that animal wants to do and how that animal wants to be found, how that soul, that animal soul, finds that human soul.
What are the possibilities of people replacing the animal once it's passed on? I mean, what's the percent? Do you know?
What I'm finding is, and it really and truly depends on, I'm not connecting to every single person on the planet, but what I'm finding is that when I first started doing the animal communications about 25 years ago professionally, I would have maybe one, maybe two animals a year tell me, hey, I'm coming back to my person. But since the shift of consciousness has really sped up, let's say in the last 15 years, I would probably say the percentage has doubled. So I'm getting anywhere between, 10 to 20 animals a year telling me in animal communications, sessions, yes, I'm coming back to my person, and this is when I'm coming back, and this is how I'm going to look, and this is what the species I'm going to be is, and this is going to be my coloring, and, it's grown exponentially because we're going through such an intense time in humanity where we're being forced to, I don't know, the best way I could describe it is we're being pulled to being better people. We're to expand ourselves, to become more spiritual, to become more connected, to become more happier, to become more, balanced. And the animals want to help us to do that. So our beloved animals are what I call our heart animals. The animals that really touch our hearts are coming back because they want to help us. They were such a paramount force in our lives when they were here that they want to help to be a paramount force in our lives as we're expanding and becoming better and more.
If an animal does not reincarnate, why is that?
It's not, the thing that I want to say is if I get that your animal is not coming back, you are not at all doing anything wrong. Okay, you're not a bad person. If you prayed more or you meditated more, it wouldn't change. Like I said before, my heart cat was telling me for decades that I was not coming back. I'm not coming back, Coriel. I'm not coming back. It wasn't. It's just simply that it's not the right time. It's not written in your soul plan for this or their soul plan for them to come back.
Where are they? In doggy heaven or something?
I like to call it non-physical. You can call it heaven. You could call it nirvana. You can call it whatever. You could call it Harry. I don't care what you call heaven. But it's like non-physical. Their souls are up there. And some people are like, well, animal souls don't go where human souls go. And I was like, well, I don't believe in that. That's not what I found. I found that all the souls go to the same place. I mean, would you really want to go to a heaven without animal souls there? I mean, come on. But when I connect to an animal, I connect to their soul, wherever that is in non-physical, and I find out if they're coming back, reincarnating, how they're going to look, what the situation is going to be, meaning how are you guys going to find each other? And I get as much information as I possibly can for that person so that they can feel like they're connected. But again, what I want to say is if your animal's not coming back, it doesn't mean you're doing anything wrong. It's simply not in your story that you both have together. And that's all there is to it.
Does a reincarnated animal ever come back as a human?
I have had animals come back as humans. However, what I'm dealing with is I'm dealing with more animals coming back as animals. Again,
a dog is a dog or a dog is a cat?
Well, yeah, a cat, can reincarnate into a dog or a horse or a a bird or a turtle. It doesn't matter. But what matters is that soul. Somehow that person knows. There's something about this. Again, this is not a conscious thing where you're saying, "Oh yes, this is my animal coming back, and this is his soul." It's more on a deeper. You see that animal, and you just know. It's in your heart. It's in your gut. It's in your intuition, whatever you want to call it. But you just see this animal, and you just know this is my animal.
It's fascinating, Coriel.
Thanks. Yeah, it is a fascinating subject, and it's something that's really and truly, I think, made my work more in depth, and also it's made people's lives happier and animals' lives happier. I mean, if I can connect a person to their beloved animal, that's everything. That's the whole enchilada right there. It's just a beautiful experience. Each one is a beautiful experience.
Do these animals tell you much in terms of their return, what's going on?
They can. What I have found is that when I first connect to an animal, for example, I did a session the other day with two cats of a very long-time client of mine. And what I found was the first session, I just get the specifics. I get, yes, they're coming back, if they're coming back, when they're coming back, around or about date and around or about time of the year. And then what happens is that the second session that I do, because I do a 2-session reincarnation package, the second session is usually closer to the date or the time of year when I'm getting that they're coming back, so I get more specifics. How they're going to look, what bodies they're going to choose. Are they coming back as the same type of species, or are they coming back as a different species? If so, what's that species that they're coming back as? Coloring, how it's going to happen, how it's going to unfold, where they're going to find each other. It gets more specific as it gets closer to the time that I'm getting that they're going to reincarnate and come back into another body.
Now, since you've been doing this, and it's been years, have you ever encountered an animal who tried to trick you for some reason?
No. Animals aren't into tricking and trying to get something over on me. They really are so open and so, honest, and so, they're just incredibly, incredibly truthful, that they don't want to play games. They don't want to try to pull the wool over my eyes. They tell me if they're coming back and when they're coming back, what they're going to look like, how they're going to look, how is the unfolding of the entire thing going to happen. And they want to be truthful. They don't have a lying bone in their body. They really don't.
What are the 6 animal dynamics?
Actually, now I've discovered 7.
Oh, really?
Last time, yeah. It's pretty cool. So there are 7 personality archetypes that I've talked about in my first show that I did with you. And the archetypes are also something about the personality of the animal. So there are the direct and demanding one, which is the guardian. There is the energetic, which is the empath. There is the rule breaker, who's the innovator. There is the shifter, that's the chameleon. That's a little bit of all the dynamics rolled up into one animal. There is the transcendent, which is the Zen master. There's the sensory, which is the pacifist. And then the newest one that I found is the visionary, which is the oracle. So each one has got a different personality to them. Each one has got a plus trait and a minus trait. Each one likes to be touched differently. Each one likes to be talked to differently. Each one likes a different kind of tone of voice. And if you want to know more about them, then you can definitely listen back to the December show that I did with you on the animal dynamics, or you could go to my website. I have videos, I have posts, all different kinds of things, or you can find me on Facebook where I post different traits and plus traits, minus traits, toys that they like, touches that they like on my Facebook page as well.
Does it matter if the animal has died tragically as opposed to naturally, how the reincarnation occurs?
No. Interestingly enough, what I have found is that if an animal had a lot of, let's say, health issues in this life, in the life that they just had, if they had diabetes or they had seizures or they had, skin allergies or food allergies, what I am finding is when the animals are reincarnating back, they're more than likely to be much more healthier. They've let go of all that health issues that were in the past, and in this life they want to come back much more healthier, much more in a balanced physical, mental, emotional state. So they've kind of the best way I could describe it is they've kind of let go of their stuff that they had karmically in their past life, so that they work through that, and now they want to come back in a much more healthier state, so that that their person and them, the animals themselves, don't have to go through that anymore. They've already worked through it, so that they're coming back much more healthier than they were when they left, if there was any health issues at all.
Have you ever had a difficulty connecting with an animal?
I would say not so much for clients. I can pretty much stay neutral, because what the important thing for me is to stay as neutral as I possibly can. When I say neutral, I mean I'm not invested in whatever that animal is answering, or the questions that I'm asking. I'm not invested in their answers. The reason being is I want to stay neutral so that I can hear. I don't want to give false hope to somebody. I don't want to say, yes, your animal's coming back, and then, oh, no, your animal's not coming back, So I try to stay as uninvested in the answers that I'm getting as much as I possibly can. However, for my own animal, when I was connecting with PC, my perfect cat is what I called her, so I called her PC. When I connected with her, I found that it was much harder because I was so invested in what I wanted to hear. So it was hard for me to hear. For years, I would try to get something from her, anything. And for years, I was not getting anything at all. It was almost like I was getting static every single time I connected to her, and I tried to get that answer, are you coming back? I had to really and truly release the want of hearing the answer. And that's when I started to hear the no, I'm not coming back right now, no, I'm not coming back right now. So I tried to stay as neutral as I possibly can, which is difficult, especially when you're very, very connected to the animal.
How do you know you've connected with that specific animal? It's kind of like when you're talking on the phone with somebody, you know that you're talking on the phone with that person. Like I know right now I'm on the phone with George Norrie. I just get a sense for you. I hear your voice. I get your energy. Yep. I get the your tone of voice and the way your vibration. It's the same way. It's like when I connect to an animal, I know I'm connecting to them because I'm getting their personality, I'm getting their dynamic at the same time, whether they're living or they're in spirit, it doesn't matter. I just know that that connection is clear. What I do really is I connect to that person who I'm talking to, either through Zoom or on the phone, and I use their love for their animal to then connect to that animal. It's kind of like a telephone connection. I don't question that just because right now I'm on a cordless phone, I'm not connected to you, George. I know that I'm connected to you. I don't kind of question it. I just know it. It's the best way that I can describe it. It's like a strong connection
that gives me the certainty that I've reached that animal, that person, and that animal, and the animal that they love.
What percent would you say of animals come back?
I would say that the percentage right now is anywhere between 35 to 45%.
That's pretty high.
It is pretty high. Considering that when I first started animal communication, I would get really one. If I was lucky, I was getting one every year. Now I'm getting more and more people connecting to me and asking, is my animal coming back? And I'm getting a yes.
Now, because you're an animal communicator, would it be the same as communicating with the dead, the human?
Absolutely. Just think of it like people have no doubt that, I can connect to somebody who is their person, their grandma, their mother, their father. I get the same, it's the same connection. I'm just I'm using your love for that person to connect to that spirit, no matter if it's if they're in the hospital or they've already transitioned. It doesn't matter. It's absolutely the same connection. There is no doubt. There is no difference. It's exactly the same as somebody was going to connect to your beloved person.
Yeah, that's pretty interesting. You've been doing this for 25 plus years?
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Have you noticed anything change?
In what? In the sessions or
with the way the reincarnated animal is reacting?
I think it's become more in depth. What I mean by that is that it feels like it's become more involved. Like it's the animals are really specific in what they're going to look like, how they're going to look. Is it going to be the same type of species? Is it going to be, if they were a tabby cat in this life, are they going to be a tabby cat in the life they're coming back? Are they going to be a horse? Is it going to be the same kind of breed? I think it's become more like each one is their own little story. In the beginning, it used to be, yes, I'm coming back, and that's it. I'm coming back this time, and I'm coming back. I'm coming back, in a month, or I'm coming back in 6 months, or I'm coming back in a year, or something else like that. But now it's become much more involved. Each one is got each animal reincarnation to me seems like it's, like a little story unfolding, where I really get much more detail in what's going to be happening, how they're going to find each other, what's it going to be, what's it going to feel like, and I try to make it as in depth as I possibly can, because a lot of people, when they find out their animal is coming back, the one thing that they're most afraid of is, how is this going to work out? Am I going to find this animal? Is it going to be a possibility at all that, am I going to miss this animal? Meaning, are we going to miss each other? So the more information I can get for that person, the better it's going to be.
Do you communicate after the animal is reincarnated or before?
Before. Usually it's before. People
so they pass on, and before they reincarnate, you're in touch with them, basically.
Right. Usually, and it really depends on when this person feels like they want to contact me. I mean, I don't go out looking for reincarnated animals. It's the person.
You don't wake up in the morning and say, I want to contact 25 of them today.
No, not really. I mean, it's really up to the person. And the interesting thing is that a lot of the people who are contacting me, they're like, they tell me the same thing over and over again. I just get this feeling like my animal is coming back. Or they ask me a question like, is my animal coming back? And I say, I let them know, The fact that you're even asking that question is a strong indication they may be. Because the question wouldn't even be asked if it wasn't even an option.
Once the animal reincarnates, does it know that it used to be the other pet?
Yes.
It does.
Oh, yeah. Absolutely. Absolutely. And what it is that what I try to instill in my clients is this. You have to understand this is not a copycat animal, meaning it's not going to be the same exact animal who reincarnated, back, in, 2 years ago, a year ago. You're not the same person that you were even 5 seconds ago. You've changed. You're expanding. You're growing. So this animal, this soul, wherever they are in non-physical, they're expanding, they're growing, they're experiencing different things. So when they come back, I tell people it's kind of like the difference between the 1.0 version to a 2.0 version. So you have to understand this animal is going to be different. Yes, they will have some traits that your other animal had. They want to make sure that you understand it's them. They already know it's them reincarnating, but they want to make sure that their person knows it, and you're only going to know it if they do things that are similar to what they did in the body before. But it's expanded. They're going to be growing. They're going to become better, just like you're becoming a better person on a moment-to-moment basis. Their soul is changing as well.
Under hypnosis, a human can recollect its reincarnated lives, but it cannot if it's not hypnotized. Why is there a difference? Because it seems like these animals know who they were in their past lives. They're not hypnotized, but a human doesn't. We don't have that connection.
We do. It's kind of like a radio. Think of it like an old radio. Whatever frequency, if you're vibrating or you're open to a certain frequency, you're going to get a certain subject come in, and it's going to be, sharp, and it's going to be clear, but only if you're tuned into that kind of frequency. So if you're tuned into reincarnation, if you believe in it, then you're probably going to experience it, and you're not going to have to, be hypnotized. You're going to understand, and you're going to get stuff from your past life, But if you're not tuned into that frequency, you're not doing anything wrong. It's just not your station that you're really jiving with.
Coriel, let's take phone calls with you next on Coast to Coast AM. Coriel Kramer with us. Her website is linked up at coasttocoastam.com. We're going to take your calls this hour. Fascinating work that you do.
Thank you, George. I find it fascinating myself, especially on this subject.
Do you spend time trying to communicate with human souls, too?
I communicate. I say that I talk to anyone. I communicate. I do human psychic work. I do animal psychic work. Whatever. But I feel more comfortable with animals because they're, like I said before, they're so open. They're so free. They're so truthful. I don't have to deal with, the strong emotions that you usually have to deal with human beings.
Are most of the animals that you deal with, have they been domesticated?
Most of the animals that I deal with are domesticated animals. So that would be, everything from horses and goats and pigs to reptiles and to, cats and dogs, of course. But I do work with rescues, that wildlife rescues.
Yeah.
So I'll work with some wildlife rescue people, and I've talked to, hawks, and I've talked to wild animals like cougars and bears and and all different kinds of animals. You know, it's a different kind of situation, though. When you talk to a wild animal, it's much different than talking to a domesticated animal. It's kind of like the difference between talking to somebody who, in English, when you're talking to somebody in French. It's a different kind of way of communicating totally and completely. When you're talking to a wild animal, they're much more freer. They don't have the connections to humanity like the domesticated animals do.
Do the domesticated animals ever show any kind of animal emotion?
Domesticated animals show a huge range of emotion. They show, I've worked with animals who've had negative emotions such as fear, jealousy, aggression, animals who've had problems with, being, having worry or concern for either themselves, for others, or for their people. So animals have the same range of emotions as humans do. I mean, especially the domesticated ones, because sometimes we can even, when we're going through strong negative emotions like fear and worry and concern or depression, we can start actually affecting our own animal. When we were in lockdown, we were with them 24/7. So a lot of animals were having strong negative emotion because they were feeling what we were feeling.
Let's go to some of the phones, Coriel, and take them while they come rolling in. Lori's in Tehachapi, California. Welcome to the program. Hi, Lori. Go ahead.
Hello. Thank you. I had a question about my dog and getting a puppy, but since you guys are talking about reincarnation, perhaps you can connect with one of my past horses. Just whatever you feel.
Can you connect over the phone, Coriel?
I can. I can connect over the phone. I can connect through Zoom. I can connect in all different kinds of ways. I usually use a photograph when I connect because it helps to make the connection stronger. Lori, can you give me the name of your horse, please?
Well, there's two. I'm looking at Kelsey, a picture of Kelsey right now, or Doc might come through.
You have two horses that have passed on?
Well, more than that, but these were very...
Oh, my gosh.
Most animals that I've dealt with, horses especially, I've connected with, not as well as I'd like to, but had very special connections with these two.
And what were the two names again?
Doc and Kelsey.
Doc and Kelsey.
Kelsey is coming through stronger than Doc right now. Doc is kind of like standing back and letting Kelsey kind of like take the reins, so to speak. No. But Kelsey was a very, very happy horse. Lovely, lovely light energy. So I'm just doing a quick connection. I'm not really fully and completely connected, but I do want to say that Kelsey had this wonderful, light, happy energy. Like always, like it felt like Kelsey was constantly feeling like her energy was supposed to make others happy. Almost like a therapy horse. You couldn't be unhappy around this being. This being's life purpose was about making others feel good.
It's interesting that you say therapy. Kelsey was very, very cheerful. One of the most cheerful horses that I've ever dealt with, and I've dealt with horses. I was riding before I could walk, and my parents raised horses. Kelsey, I had a spinal cord injury, and Kelsey was trying to lay down for me.
That's beautiful. Really cool.
So she's coming through. I'd like to contact you after the show, but I just wanted to. I had to put her down recently, and I'm having bad feelings that maybe I did it too soon.
I know. And that's normal. A lot of people, especially when they have to euthanize their animal, they have guilt around it. I myself had major guilt around my own heart cat when I had to let her go. That was a very, very emotional situation for me. So I totally and completely get it. And you can certainly find me on my website. It's CorielKramer.com.
You take emails that way, Coriel? You take emails through your website?
You can contact me through the contact page on my website. I'm happy to do sessions with you and with Kelsey and Doc so we can get more in-depth. And that's what these reincarnation sessions are really about, is it not only finding out information about your animal coming back, if they're coming back, but also I'm trying to help you heal as much as possible, because the animals don't want us to feel guilty. They don't want us to hate ourselves for putting them down or helping them transition. They're all about love, and they're all about healing.
All right, next up, let's go to Carol in Dearborn, Michigan on the wild card line. Welcome to the program. My old stomping grounds, Carol.
Definitely. Hi. Fascinating that you would just talk about guilt. One of my first cats, I had to put down. She had a cancer mass, and I took the vet's advice. I did it. And I wailed with such grief all weekend from the depths of my soul. Well, there was another cat that I saw as I walked out of the vet, and she was so depressed. She was in a cage, all curled up, and I told them I'll take her home. And they said, "Well, you come back on Monday. If you still want her, you can adopt her." I came back on Monday. I adopted her. I took her home, and. First thing she did was bite me because I reached in, and I scared her. So she was sort of alone, in the room with me just for a little while longer. And she did something. Shayna, the cat I had to put down, used to do something that was just strange. Cats don't do this. She would open the door, and there was a broom behind the door, and she would bite the bristles. This new cat opens the door, bites the bristles on the broom, and I yelled, "Shayna, it's you!" And she never did it again, ever. I've had her for decades, and I just knew in my heart that was Shayna coming back and saying, "I love you. It's okay. It's okay." Just momentarily, a soul entering another soul.
That's it. That's it, Carol. 100%. And there's what I call walk-ins. And the walk-ins are when the animal soul steps back, goes to the back of the bus, so to speak, and then another soul is able to, for a moment or a little bit of time, be able to step in and starts doing stuff that the other animal would never do.
Is that like a human walk-in, Coriel?
Yeah, it's the same thing, too. I mean, if you've had people who channel other people, like John Edwards, he can channel your grandmother or your father. And what it is that his soul steps out for a second or goes to the back of the bus, and another soul is able to step in, and they act and sound and do the exact same thing that person soul used to do. It's the same thing that happened with Carol and her cat.
Amazing. It truly is. Next to Carol, thank you. Let's go to Elise in Portland, Oregon. Welcome to the program. Hi, Elise.
Hi, Elise.
Hey, George. Was it Corey?
Coriel, yes.
Coriel. I have a question. I have a big black cat that I just got about, I don't know. He was a Christmas gift to myself. So it's been just about a little over a year. And I'm wanting to know what happened to him and if he feels that he needs to continue the oral pain medication or if he's okay without it since I can't really afford a $1,500 hip surgery.
Wow, that's a lot for...
That's a lot. But what I would say, a quick answer, and we could certainly do a session where I would go more in depth into it, but what I'm feeling, Elise, is that I would try to look into alternative therapies. Some animals line up with allopathic or Western medicine. Some animals line up with alternative medicine. Some animals line up with both. Your boy feels like he's going to need, alternative therapy. So you might want to look into, for his teeth issues, so you might want to look into things like acupuncture or energy healing like Reiki. You could certainly contact me because I am an energy healer as well. But I think he's going to line up better with the alternative aspect of healing than he would with the allopathic or Western medicine.
Okay. Thank you.
All right.
Yeah, you're welcome.
Good luck. Jim in Michigan. Take it away, Jimmy. Go ahead.
Hey, how's it going tonight?
Okay, Jim. Thank you.
I believe I have had a dog reincarnate back to me.
Mm-hmm.
And I was kind of interested if there was any way that she could confirm this. The original dog's name was Tamai, and it was the first dog I ever owned.
What kind of breed was it, Jim?
It was a Black Lab Shepherd mix.
Ah.
And about 4 years ago, I got another dog, and it's considered a huge Black Lab.
Yeah.
But a lot of the mannerisms and just the facial expressions are the same with these two dogs. So I heard the show and I was like, this is something I've been thinking of. Could it be? Yeah. And then the show came on tonight and I was like, oh no, I got to call.
Absolutely. What say you, Coriel?
Well, I'm glad you did. And here's the thing. You would never consider this question if you didn't somewhere in your heart of hearts know that the answer is yes. Okay, this would never occur to you to ask this question. I mean, I have 2 cats, and I would never consider asking the question, hey, are you guys PC? Are you my cat reincarnated? Because I know that they're not. So you're simply asking the question is a very, very strong indication that, yes, she is. The other thing is that she's doing exactly what you said. She's doing the mannerisms of the animal that you had before. The facial expressions, the mannerisms, that's, again, a strong indication that, yes, this is an animal that's reincarnated. Because if think about how many mannerisms there are that this animal could do. And the fact that they're doing what your animal used to do, your first beloved animal used to do, is a really, really strong yes indicator to me. So when I connect to your girl now, I'm getting yes, she is the reincarnation of your animal that you had when you your very first dog.
What is it like on the other side for an animal?
This is pretty much the same as it is for people. In non-physical, it's kind of like this really beautiful, wonderful place where all these souls commune, get together. Not all of them know each other, of course, because there's billions upon billions of souls. But it could be like so many different kinds of places. There's so many different aspects to non-physical.
I mean, is there a heaven and hell for animals?
See,
You don't believe
some
in
people are going to debate about this, okay? I find that there is no hell. There's kind of like a limbo, what I call a soul rehab, where the soul has to go into this, for want of a better way of saying it, rehab, to work out whatever they were karmically working on when they were here in the physical. And then they can go back to non-physical. They can go back to the light. So animals are so pure of heart. I have not, and this is for me. And again, one animal communicator might get something differently. This is my experience. I haven't really found any animals in rehab. The animals are so pure in their love that they really and truly, their spirit goes straight back to non-physical.
Can you tell by looking in the eyes of an animal if it might be the reincarnated version of the past one?
Yes. The eyes are the windows to the soul. And the soul is the reincarnation. That's the factor. When you look at an animal, when a person looks at an animal and it's their reincarnated animal, the best way I can describe it is you just know. There's no, like, is it? Is it not? Is it? I'm not sure. I think so. Maybe. There's just a 100% yes. This is my animal. I know it. I can't explain why, but I just know that this is my animal.
There are some who are not friendly to animals. Mm-hmm. When those animals die, I would guess they aren't going to reincarnate and come back to that person.
No.
They're long gone, right?
No, they're not going to. They needed to work with that person. As crazy as it sounds, it's true. You need to work, just like a human needs to work on their self karmically. So you might have an interesting, what I call an interesting childhood. So that interesting childhood might involve stuff that normally people would say is awful or terrible or just horrible. But you have to work through that in order to become the soul or the person that you're supposed to be.
Coriel, tell us about the package. You have a package for reincarnation animal entails. Go ahead.
Yeah, so this is a 2-session package. The first session I go into if the animal is coming back, how they're coming back, and I get a certain kind of time frame. I want to make sure that I check and double-check to make sure that I am getting yes if they're coming back or no if they're not. And again, I want to tell people if the animal is not coming back, they have done nothing wrong. It's not about guilt or not about shame. It's simply what is. Then the second session is usually closer to the date that I was getting the animals coming back or the time of year that I'm getting the animals coming back, so I can get more specifics. When they're coming back, how they're coming back, where the person should look, what the person should do. Is this person in the right frame of mind for the animal to be coming back so they can be open to it? Have they let go of the guilt from the transition? Where we're trying to, do some healing work so that I can help that person feel better and release any of those strong negative emotions that could keep the animal from coming back and reincarnating in the time frame that I was getting in the first session. So I'm offering a 2-session package, a special 2-session package. There's a contact form on my website specifically for the reincarnation. And we do a possibility call where that's where I talk to the person and I give them more specifics on what I can do and how I can help them and how I work, and if it seems like we both resonate for one another. And then we can continue working together through the 2-session package that I'm offering now.
Does every animal have a reincarnated story behind it?
Not every single animal. No, they might have a reincarnation story or past life, but not necessarily with that person. It might be that they're having a past life from something that they've had, previously, like years and years and years ago, but it doesn't necessarily have to be with that person. Usually what I'm getting is that it's usually a heart animal that comes back. When I say a heart animal, I mean an animal that has become almost like a soulmate to that person. They touched your heart in a certain way, and that connection is so strong that it sometimes wants to continue in another life in this life.
All right, let's go to final calls. East of the Rockies, Pauline's with us in North Carolina. Hello, Pauline.
Hey, Pauline.
Hi. My question is, I had 2 cats. One was Peaches that lived with me inside, and I was heartbroken when I had to put her down. I was really distraught over that. But my question is about this other cat. Her name was, I called her Outside Cat. She was a feral cat, and she lived on my back porch for about 18 years. I built her a little house, and she would come when I called her to feed her. And after a couple of years, she let me pick her up, and I was able to pet her and brush her. But then she started to get old, and then one day she was gone. I don't know what happened. I was wondering if you may know, what happened to her.
It feels like, again, the outside cat is, her life was supposed to be outside. If she was meant to come inside, she would have. So any kind of guilt or any kind of, questioning about that should be, let go and released. Outside cat feels like what happened with her was something got her, whether it's a dog or a coyote or something else, but it was definitely something bigger than she was. And it happened quickly. And if you want to know more, if you want to get more in-depth in that, because we can only go so far on this call, what I would suggest then is contact me through my website. But it feels like it's quick. It was quick. There was not a lot of pain. It was like happy, gone. So if I hope that helps you in some way to heal your heart for Outside Cat.
Does that help a little bit, Pauline?
Yeah, I thought maybe she just went away to die somewhere because she was getting so old now, but that's heartbreaking to know that she went that way.
I know, but it was, again, quick and very little pain. It was something that just got her, and it took her out very, very quickly. So I'm sorry that I couldn't give you something that was more happier for your heart, but just know that she's okay wherever she is.
Coriel, I've always been told that when an animal runs away, chances are it's running away because it doesn't want to die in front of you. Is that true?
That's sometimes true. There are some animals that need to be on their own when they pass. There are some animals that need us to be not in the general vicinity. That's why some animals transition while we're away on vacation, or we're not at home, we're away at work, because we have a tendency to kind of hold them back through our love, and they want to be able to be released and go back into an easier transition. And if we're holding them back with our love, we can kind of make that harder for them to leave.
That seventh dynamic that you discovered, how did you come across it?
The visionary. The visionary I found because all of the dynamics I found also coincide with the 7 chakras. So the visionary is connected very, very deeply to the 3rd chakra, which is not the 3rd chakra, the 3rd eye. So that's the 6th chakra. So I just basically was connecting again to my work, and this just flowed through me, and it just made sense. And I got all the plus traits and the minus traits. It was just like what I call a download, which is, when I connect to spirit or I connect to the universe, I just get information and it's downloaded into me. And that's what happened. That's how I got the 7th dynamic.
First-time caller Kath is with us in Delaware. Welcome to the show. Hi, Kath.
Hi, George. Good morning.
Good to have you with us.
Thank you for taking my call.
Sure.
I feel very, very blessed. It was just a day of synchronicities for me. My dog Sam passed 3 years today. And you've been on the show for the 3rd time. And I asked him if you could help answer my questions, and things have just fallen into place.
Oh, good.
He was an amazing little dog. He died unexpectedly in 2020. And then the end of that year, I started hearing him say, Mama, I'm coming home. And this was right during the COVID time.
Mm-hmm.
So I kind of had an idea that he was coming back. I didn't know how.
Yeah.
And so I started calling around and asking different people who was having a I have allergies, and that's who Sam took care of me as a service dog, and he was for my allergies. So he knew I would have to have a poodle. So I called all these breeders, and it led me to someone in New Jersey. And we went through 3 animal communicators. And you give specifics and around times and what the animal's going to be like. And we were only ever told in the spring you will be 3 and pick the most intelligent dog. We weren't told whether to pick a boy or a girl. Nothing. So we got to this breeder, and there was this little girl sitting on this poor little pup's head. My husband picks her up, and he says, "That's it. She's going home with us. Put the collar on her." And that's how we got our Anna. But if Sam was coming back, Anna is totally 100% different. She has migraines. She bites still, and she runs from us. So I know she has issues.
Yeah.
And we've had Reiki done on her, and the vet can't figure it out.
That's usually when I do a lot of my best work, is when the vets are having a hard time figuring out what's going on. So I would definitely say for Anna, we should probably do what I do, which is my weekly session packages. Because I work over time, and she needs time to be able to release whatever is causing these issues, the biting, the allergies, the whole 9 yards. And if we can work over time, then I would suggest doing an animal communication session package. Then for Sam, we can definitely find out when he's coming back through doing a reincarnation package. The thing of it is that every animal communicator is different. Some animal communicators, it depends on how tuned in they are to reincarnation as a subject. I happen to be really tuned into it. So I get a little bit more information than maybe another animal communicator will get. It doesn't mean that they're doing anything wrong. It's just how tuned in they are to the subject. So definitely contact me. I'm happy to help you try to find Sam as best I possibly can. And I'm happy to help you and your new little puppy, Anna.
Do you sometimes communicate with the animal, Coriel, not the reincarnated, but the living animal, to ask them what's wrong?
Oh, absolutely. I do a lot of work with animals who are having behavioral issues, unwanted behaviors coming out, going outside the litter box, or, aggression, biting their person, attacking their person. I've done a lot of work with animals through the dynamic, not only animal communication, but through the dynamic work as well. That's probably a huge percentage of the reason why people contact me is unwanted behaviors that the animal's exhibiting.
Let's go to Angel, truck driving in Oregon, west of the Rockies. Angel, go ahead.
George, hi, Corey. You're speaking to my heart, sugar. I've had one soul that she's been with me this life and a past life, and I lost her back in 2018.
I'm sorry.
I wanted to know, like I said, when you said heart connection, I definitely have a heart connection with her. And just want to know, by any chance, do you see maybe her coming back to me in this lifetime? Her name was Nikki.
Am I getting that she's coming back to you? It's not really, really clear right now. The reason being is because I'm not getting a yes or a no. I'm getting a possible. So what I would probably say is that if you sent me her picture through my website, then I can get a clearer idea. And I'm happy to do that for you if I'm getting a yes or no. But right now I'm not getting 100% either yes or no.
Okay, I understand that. I've had another dog that came into my life, I believe, is another soulmate from when I was a child. Now, do people usually have couple of them come into their lives, maybe?
It depends on what's going on with your soul plan and what's going on with their soul plan. The soul plan is what's going to happen with that soul, whether they're reincarnating, whether you knew them in a past life, things like that there. So, but it's not unusual for an animal to come back several times, or for somebody to have several of heart animals coming back. If you do, you're awful lucky, okay? Because usually we get one or two, one if we're lucky. So if you get more than that, then count your blessings.
Coriel, we're running out of time. Would you give out your email address to folks?
The email address that you can contact me through is mail, M-A-I-L, at my first name, Coriel, last name, Kramer.com, or you can just contact me through my website.
Which is probably the easiest thing to do.
Absolutely.
All right, you take care of yourself until next time, okay?
Okay, listen, George, thank you so much. It was a pleasure being back on the show.
Absolutely. We think the world of you. I'm George Norrie, somewhere out there on Coast to Coast AM. We'll see you on our next edition. Until then, be safe, everyone. If you want to listen to our show ad-free, 24/7, access audio archives, live chat with me, and much more, you need to become a Coast Insider now.
So you're telling me your grandmother, who died a few weeks ago, came and visited you last night in your bedroom, and you're not scared?
Are extraterrestrials living among us?
I don't know if it's true or not, folks, but we're going to find out.
If you enjoy stories like these and want to learn more about the mysteries of the universe with me, become a Coast Insider now to access hundreds of our archive shows to listen anytime, anywhere. Sign up now at coasttocoastam.com/Coast Insider. That's coasttocoastam.com/Coast Insider.